Hello and welcome to Rallying the Forge. I am Solimer, and in this episode, we have just a couple things to go through. We're going to go through all the spoilers for the Wizards and Warlocks Legendary Drop happening tomorrow. We are going to do a quick update on the events going on within the game, and we're going to kick it off actually with we're going to critique Traveler's list of the archetypes and the hierarchy he came up with for them. So there's nothing to talk about really in-game. Battle Pass is ending tomorrow, so collect your rewards today or very first thing tomorrow morning. I would not wait, because whenever the patch drops, they're gone. So collect them tonight. So let's switch over to his archetype list here. And this is what he came up with. And I felt he was a little critical on some of the stuff. But everyone's got their own opinions, right? And sometimes maybe they don't have all the facts on things, or maybe they do. Maybe I don't have all the facts on things. So something that was debated amongst some players was the RC defensive and aggressive. is that really two different archetypes? And I understand that because it purely, he was purely speaking of how do you use the RSE, and he didn't care about necessarily what else was in the deck to affect it. And definitely some decks are going to be better as a defensive type, and some are going to be better as an aggressive type. Some should probably be able to do either or, depending on the situation. That would probably be the most optimal method to have. So there was a little bit of talk about should that be two different archetypes at all anyway, and I don't disagree with that. I think they could really just be combined into one, and it's just a matter of, can you play it one way or both, or what are your options with your deck and how it plays. That ultimately, for me, ties into the quality of the RC deck in whole. What you pair it with and everything. So I guess I'll start from the top and work my way down for the most part. I do agree that Killian might very well be the best archetype in the game currently. I don't disagree with that. I definitely think the Mantis Forge Seal Kurgais decks are the best pair for it. Could there be other pairings that people could use? Potentially. I didn't come up with any myself that I was like, maybe this could rival that. No. The Mantis Forge Seal Kurgais, and you got to have the Kurgais. I think, honestly, even a Mantis Kurgais would be better, or a Forge Seal Kurgais, potentially. If you don't have all three, because those are hard to come by. Even if you have just two of them, but you have Kurgais as one of the two cards, that I think it can still be strong. Obviously not necessarily as good as having all three, but it is what it is. So, but I think it's definitely one of the best archetypes because of its consistency. And depending on when you get the Killian converged, whether it's cycle 2, 3, or 4, that can also play into the quality of the Killian deck. I'm not sure. I don't recall that Peter specifically said it's only this version of Killian is the best version. I don't know that he spoke to that so much, but yeah, I think it's probably the best archetype, most consistent. I definitely think RC in general, I'm not going to break it out defensive aggressive, because I never really thought of it in that regard so much, and I don't play RC enough to be able to say positively one way or another how I feel on either of them. But RC in general, I think, is definitely an S tier archetype, no matter which one you're playing. And I also think Perfect Circe decks, so that's going to be Life Drain, Death Touch in either order for cycles 2 and 3, and then of course you're going to have Army Commander on cycle 4, paired with a Mantis Forge Seal Kurgais, just like Killian. It's basically, Killian is the Aloyan version of the Necrium portion. Can you get enough good Aloyan cards in your Killian deck to compare to the good cards you're going to get in your Perfect Circe deck? Kind of what it comes down to, I guess, right? So I think all three of those archetypes are at the very top. Now, there are some other builds that I think could be considered S tier. But I think I'm just going to leave it at those three. And I will definitely say for A tier, you have Soul Reaver decks, you have ROS, the reanimation, or the ROS control, however you want to word it. Those style decks, because I don't think it's necessarily just control. It's also, like we've seen, Dr. Blotley and River Vero's, our River of Souls decks that can be very strong as well. In kind of a different manner. It's still kind of a control with the Veros out there. They can't get reanimation, but just a different form, I suppose. But I think both of those archetypes are very strong. They're definitely A tier. I would probably put the ROS, though, ahead of Soul Reaver, just because I think if you're looking at it from on an average standpoint, I think the average ROS reanimation, ROS control style deck is going to be better than the average Soul Reaver deck. I think the Soul Reaver deck, if we're going by the very best that you could get with it, then I would put it in S tier, because I think Carl's deck is, as Traveler also thinks, is probably the best Soul Reaver deck we know of or have seen. And that deck, I think, is definitely S tier. So, depends on how you're viewing it. I'm looking at it as, on average, I think an average ROS reanimation deck will be better than your average Soul Reaver deck. I just think there's way more opportunities for ROS decks to be successful than there are Soul Reaver decks. But also in A tier, I would definitely put the Life Gain and Drain archetypes and Darkforge Drain decks. I probably keep them in that order and behind Soul Reaver, just because the Soul Reaver decks, they're also working towards going to Cycle 4. Life Gain and Drain decks, they're also working just to a late game strategy. They're hoping that you're going to be low health by the time Cycle 4 rolls around. They're looking for their finishers potentially in Cycle 3, but they're not playing a fast game, and so it can definitely stall out. And if you can get to Cycle 4 with the Soul Reaver deck, then you can instantly change everything on a dime. So, and I just think it's a better, in that regard, it's a better archetype, at least head to head anyhow. So, yeah, so I think those four decks would be my A tier decks. And then from there, we're going to have, obviously I'm only left with one deck in B tier, and that's Dark Rebirth. And I love Dark Rebirth. Obviously in physical, it was very popular at Worlds last year. Can't do infinite in client, but you can do quite a bit in the client and get a bunch of health back. But I haven't seen a good version to use in the client where it's consistent enough and strong enough to survive all the time. I might still keep it in B tier, but I'm probably going to keep it at the bottom of B tier. When we talk about, when you compare it to physical, which I know Peter wasn't really doing, infinite combos kind of need to be in their own category. They can't, be with the other archetypes just because they're infinite. So in that regard, I might keep it in a low B tier or high C tier, just because I haven't seen a good Dark Rebirth deck with an Infinite Mantis at all. Probably my next archetype I would put in B tier, though. I probably would put Trinity Aloyan from D tier. Peter's not big on it. I'm very big on it. People don't necessarily play it as much. I think it's a harder archetype for people to actually play. It's not as straightforward as put a Pokemancer down and replace creatures and then get your rallying creature out there. There's a lot that goes into it that to make the deck work, you need a lot of pieces. But when a good deck goes off, a good Trinity Alloyan deck goes off, it can compete with any of the top decks. It can stop any of them. So I definitely say it's a B tier deck. I would say it's the top B tier deck in my opinion. There's probably next behind it, kind of a newer archetype that's kind of come up is the call it UT aggro, so Terra Tempest aggro. We've seen that in a couple different forms, but a lot of it's with the Descendant Biologist for Terra Tempest with the Thundercrash field, and even before that, there's been some different style aggro decks along those lines. Just they weren't as potent as that combination's become. There's some other combinations even out there you could technically argue with that. I mean, UT aggro can fall within the dinosaur tribal as well. So I would put that next after Trinity Alloyan. And maybe only because we haven't seen a lot of UT aggro yet from people. We've seen a few and some good ones, but I think on average the Trinity Alloyan decks are going to be better on average. After that, I probably put the Warrior Tribal. I think it's a very strong archetype. I know Peter's not big on Verlana. Maybe he says overrated. I think she's annoying and frustrating. Cards like her, while they're not enough to win in a true competitive event, they're great in formats like Sealed. They're very strong, obviously. And in a lot of formats, even in competitive, they're just an annoying card you have to get rid of. You can't let it sit out there forever. You've got to take care of it. Yes, you could eat it like he said, just take the 4 damage every turn, but what happens when they get 2 of them out there? And then they drop a warrior, and they get to use the ability. She's not useless the entire time. So she does, they're built to make use of her. I'm not big on Varia as far as warriors go, but I do think the Warrior Tribal's probably the best tribal. Although under the Scientist Tribal, technically you have Killian. So, how does that play into it? I pull it out separate because you're not really looking for Scientists with Killian. You're just looking for Killian himself and then some good cards to go with it. But I do think the Warrior Tribal is probably one of the better tribals. And I think we're going to have the Mage Tribal also be in this tier ahead of everything else. Maybe even into A tier, depending on the spells and how things go with that. There's a lot to uncover with that yet. And then after that, these are all ahead of Dark Rebirth, by the way. I might move Dark Flame up there. Dark Flame is like a different version of Darkforge Drain decks. Dark Flame, you have to take some damage for yourself, but you still want to Spell Sling. It's got some different things to it that you can do with it. So I like Dark Flame decks. I don't, again, they also fit a mold of a UT aggro. But it's just, I don't think we've seen a lot of Dark Flame decks because they are so, you're taking a lot of damage to be able to do a lot of damage. And then you just need things to line up at the right times, and you can win a good amount of your matches. I just don't know if it's consistent enough to win at the levels needed for competitive SolForge. Could it beat some of the higher archetypes? Potentially, certainly. I mean, I think any deck can win a match depending on draws, but with the Dark Flame deck, there is a real downside. I think, like if I look at the Dark Rebirth decks I've got like 2 of them maybe I've got built that I've kept. If I played them against my Dark Flame decks, I think my Dark Flame decks would win. Now, if you get farther into the match and I've exhausted my Dark Flames and I haven't killed them yet, I'm in horrible trouble. You have to kill them with the Dark Flame. So if you can't or don't, so life gain decks could be very good against Dark Flame, potentially. At the same time, if you're keeping their stuff off the board and they can't gain life, whatever their mechanic might be, whether it's Spring Dryad or other things, maybe you can get them knocked down and wiped off the board. So I think it's not explored enough. I don't know if it'll ever be explored enough at the rate these new sets are coming and all the new cards. And, eventually one day people might circle back to it and find good versions of it, much stronger versions. But for where it's at, I think it could be a low B tier above Dark Rebirth. And that gives me what? 5 archetypes in the B tier. And I'm sorry I'm not rearranging this on the screen for everyone, but so that's probably the order I would go for the B tier. And then C tier, it's kind of tough. I think I would put Scientist Tribal in the C tier. Blightmane Dragon would be in the C tier. And probably the Dinosaur Tribal in the C tier. I don't know the order for those three. I think Blightmane Dragon has the most potential with win conditions, but you've got to see the Blightmane Dragon. You've got to have it. You got to have all these things line up, and if you have a really good version of it, it may not be a problem. But if you don't have things line up, it could totally throw your whole thing off. And then what else does your deck have? When I've made plenty of Blightmane Dragon decks, and when they go off, it's great, but it's not even half the time it feels like. They're just not consistent enough. Scientist Tribal, that's really specific. Stitcher, Harvester, Operator. Yes, the Scientist drops. There were some new mechanics. There are some with the Scientist, the Spell Shield, Necrocrats. I want one so badly. To me, it's like a level 1 Krogaius that just grows and grows and grows. But and there's some other cool Spell Shield effects out there you can have, like with the Metamind, Mindbreaker or whatever. So there are some cool things out there, and I don't think, again, that's not fully explored because, right behind it we had the Warrior Tribal drop 2 months later. Or maybe it was 3 months later, but it was right behind it. We had no time. I hadn't even made a Killian deck yet. I hadn't made any Scientist decks, and we already had the Warrior drop coming. So it's been rushed, and I think these have not been fully fleshed out. I still think for the Scientist Tribal, though, like I said, Stitcher, Harvester, Operator are going to be the main pundits in some sort of... I don't want to say it's a gimmicky deck, but a gimmick. And there's been, even before the Scientist drop, we've seen Operator, Harvester, Stitcher decks with Betrayer versions of various of those cards. So how strong is it? I'm not sure. I know I played Nathus has we'll call it an OG Scientist deck. He's got a Harvester and a Betrayer Operator in the same deck. And I don't remember if he has the Operator with Betrayer Harvester or not, or if he just has another Operator in the deck, how he's got it paired. It's a Necrium Eloyan build. But, I played against that. I don't remember what deck I used at the time. It might have been my Furious Shardback deck, my original version. And it was super frustrating, annoying to play. It kind of reminds me of Verlana just annoying you the entire time, the entire way. It's kind of gimmicky. It can win matches, certainly. People who are not prepared for that, it definitely can win matches. Is it going to beat the top tier stuff? Probably not. The gimmick only goes so far. You're only making 12/12s at the most. So I don't know. But I think it's okay. It can be okay as an archetype. And there's definitely some cards I think that could be explored more that can make the archetype stronger. Maybe not B tier, but at least stronger within C tier. Dinosaurs, of course, they already had good synergy. The legendary drop didn't add anything but Astraxian, really, which is still a super strong card. But I think it's a strong enough archetype that it can throw wrenches into other archetypes, and it can be good enough. If you're playing a Dark Rebirth deck, for example, you play a Dino deck, you're going to get crushed. The Dinos are just too big, too early. Unless you've got all the right removal at all the right times, you are going to be hurting, and they're going to be pushing damage on you, and you're not set to gain your life until cycle 3. Maybe earliest cycle 2 if you get things going in such a great way, but it's not likely. So I think the Dinosaur Tribal deck, it didn't really get much better with the Legendary Drop, but it's strong enough, and now with some of the pairings you can get with Rex and Patriarch in the same half, it's a good enough archetype for C tier, in my opinion. So, and then I would drop the Slay Exalts down to the D tier. Completely gimmick oriented. Nobody plays with half the only one they might play with is Sack Chamber, and that's just a gimmick with Grimgaunt Predator. That's probably my lowest. That's my last one here. I'd put Glacier at the top of D tier. Glacier's just hard because there's not a whole lot support for it. Like, he's the first true good movement creature, and he's still the only one. Obviously, again, Billy Badaim has an amazing Glacier deck. He's got one that's probably an A tier version, but no one else has that. So, on average, you're going to have a D tier Glacier deck. I've made several Glacier decks. They just don't work. Occasionally, you get a Glacier deck, yes, or a deck that has Glacier, and it can work or it can be effective, depending on. There's a lot of situations, yes, but on average, is it going to be great? Probably not. So, but I'd put it in D tier. I'd put it above the Slay Exalts for sure, and I'll put Omnis behind Glacier. The double Omnis, just Omnis in general, like Peter said, there's only 2 good ones, Sparking and Disintegrating, and even then, it's set 1. I don't know if they're going to be repeated in the Mage drop. I hope they are. I hope they go into some of the other sets. That'd be amazing. But especially because they come with spells, which would be awesome, which means maybe we can get a triple Betrayer deck. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have any double Omni decks. Obviously, being able to reset 2 Omnis with 1 spell, it can be nice, but they're typically not big enough. You don't want to have 2 to 3 Omnis on the board as your board state. The level 1 Disintegrating is what, a 3/5, and the Sparking is a 1/7 or something like that, I think. They're just not good enough board presence to, yes, later when you get the level 3 versions out, they can wreak havoc. But again, you have to wait to get to cycle 3 for that. So what can you do up until then? Is your deck going to be good enough to support, if Omnis could have been in with set 2 or set 3 where you can get things like Furious Shard back, where you could kind of control the board, that would be great. And maybe we'll be able to get that with this next Mage drop. I don't know. But I think the Omnis need more to be paired with. The set 1 Tempest was not strong. You were typically looking for like a Thundersoar with some creatures that could pump him up. Obviously the Omnis, and then a good set of spells to pair it with. And then you'd find another deck that you'd pair it with. And if you're trying to go double Omni, you're limited on what you can betray into. Obviously, for the most part, you want to betray into Necrium probably. Unless you were like running a Dino heavy Omni deck and you could get a Betrayer into Utera with more Dinos. Maybe there's something there. So, they're just not strong enough. They don't have enough support, just like Glacier doesn't have support. And then Slay Exalts I was shocked that they even made this list. I'll be honest. I don't think they're great whatsoever. No one's playing with them. Yeah, there's potential, possibly there, but it's not. They're not that good. Drone Hive is garbage. Runestone, garbage. Sack Chamber. Sack Chamber is the only half decent one, and you need it's going to be the rest of the cards in the deck that determine whether that card's going to be good or not. And then if you do have all your other cards are good in the deck, you might not even play Sack Chamber in that deck. So it's just like a nice to have kind of card at that point. So not big on the Slag Exalts. So that's my take on the tier list of the archetypes that Peter put out. He wanted me to do this, so I said I would. And I figured this episode is a good time to do it before the mage drop now. And yeah. So that's what I've got for that. So why don't we go into... Let's go into spoilers next for the Wizards and Warlocks. If I can find stuff. Okay. So we have, of course, Ank's card. He's last year's world champion. We have his card that he helped make, Ankh Nexus Tracker, so very fitting. He is the creator of the Nexus Tracker. If you don't know what that is, it's for physical play. It is a digital life counter for your lanes and your player health. It's really cool, and I bought some for me to have for physical play. I love it. I wish physical was more prevalent for the game so he could keep selling them, but yeah, I don't know if he's got any left or not, but they're awesome, and love it. So I love to see that he's able to get that into the game here on a card. He's a mage scientist, stealth, plays Echoes of Blight, which is an Exalt. His level 2 and 3 on deploy gives enemy creatures defender, all enemy creatures at level 3, but his Echoes of Blight Exalt, when your creature in this lane deal damage to a player, put an energy counter on this. You can activate it, remove the energy counters from this, give that creature 3/3 for each counter, and then transform this and attach it to the creature, so it becomes an augment, which is really cool. So he's got Exalts, an augment, it's a SolBind, and it's got a deploy ability on his character. So he's got a lot of different elements to it. It's really cool. A lot of things that it can synergize with. His creature health is not absurd or overpowered. Obviously, the point is going to be the Exalt and pumping up a creature potentially when you want to. That can be huge. You save it up for, a few turns, and not only that means you're dealing damage to a player, but so their health's going to be down from wherever they were at, but then you also get to transform that onto something when you do have, you're going to get some damage through, and that can be massive. You put a drop an Oak Father on it after it's already got like 8 counters on it, and suddenly that's huge, right? That's a free Darkforge drain. So really cool card. I have a lot of ideas for what type of deck this could work in. So just to be clear on the spell there, the augment, when this is destroyed, play Echoes of Blight. So if the creature's destroyed, this will transform back into the Exalt. You don't have to, not specifically talking about like destroying the augment as a spell. I guess the augment gets destroyed if the creature's destroyed. It doesn't just disappear. It's just considered destroyed. So in theory, this is like a RSC, but it's a Loyan, and it always comes back into play unless you have like a sequencer to destroy an Exalt or something, right? So really cool. Really like the card. Looking forward to seeing this. This could really be awesome with betraying into things. I can see this being paired with all sorts of different cards that are going to be able to do damage to player. Could be really cool. Definitely. Next card we have is the... so by the way, just so it's clear, we have all 4 legendary SolBind cards. So they show the SolBind on these cards, but they're actually legendary, and then the SolBind is the bottom portion there you'll see on these pictures. And then we also have all 4 legendary spells, 1 for each faction. So 2 new cards for each faction in this drop. So this is the Utera. It's a Bumble Believer of the Hive. It's a Beast Mage. Has a deploy. Puts out an Exalt. This Exalt, when first time you play a spell, you can put a Wisp in this lane. Activate if you have no empty lanes. It transforms and replaces the creature in this lane with the Hive Guardian, who's an 8/8, mobility 2. When you play a spell, give this +5/+5. Really cool. Not mistaken, it's like Nuada, who flips over the 10/10 Oak Guardian or something like that. But this thing grows, and it could grow quickly and like just get massive. I'm thinking already like pairing this in a Glacier deck, for example, because with Tempest, of course, with spells, they have a lot of spells. You can play free spells and do a lot of different things with that. Pump this thing up as soon as you flip it over. Granted, a full board, not great for the movement portion, but you assume that they're going to start killing some stuff off. But this guy could wreak havoc out there. So, really cool effect, in my opinion. The Bumble creature gets an Activate, gives armor at level 1. At level 2, it gives +3 attack and armor, and at level 3 gives +5 attack and armor to one creature. You do get to ready this at level 2 and 3 when you play a spell, so you can constantly pump something up potentially. That's gonna be really great with breakthrough creatures. So you're gonna be pumping them up, giving them armor, making them survive, and the attack stays and the armor goes away, but you can just do it all over. So Spell Slingers rejoice. Okay, we have. I said these were legendary. I guess they're just gonna be rare actually, because they have the rare icon. So I apologize for that. But so this is the Tempest spell. You choose one of your creatures. If it's a mage, this is free. The chosen creature blasts. So instantly everyone saw and thought of Nova Elementalist. So that's a mage, and you can play that, get RC down there on the board, and play this blast and flip them first turn, first action, and no way to stop it. So that could be one really cool interaction for sure. But definitely a neat card, not overpowered in my opinion. Nice that it can be free if it's a mage. Obviously with the mage synergies, having minimum amounts of mages in your decks, that's going to impact this for sure. But a neat spell. Nice that it can potentially be free. We've got the logo. We'll skip past that. We have Arcane Artillery, the Eloin spell. Deal 3 damage to all enemy creatures, 6 and 9 as you level it up. It's really nice. It's a one-sided firestorm. Really nice. Really going to be cool when you get Betrayers of it and pair it, and you have 2 of them in your deck, and you can just blast the person's board off essentially. Depending on what Forgeborns you get and pair things with, like there's all sorts of cool combos. You're going to be doing a lot of damage to your opponent's board and clearing things off. This is going to be great against minion-style decks. If they, even ones that want to pump creatures up, because it's going to take a few pumps to get them above 6 health, and get above 9 health. So it's going to really change some things, and it might change the order of things in the meta depending on, how strong some of these things are. Next, we have the Tempest Legendary Soulbind, and it's a Nathus' card. So, Nathus, Yeti's husband. He's a mage scientist. Has to deploy, play Katarina, Human's wife. When you play a spell, give your Katarina, Human's wife, +2 attack. Goes up +3 and +5 for the versions out there, you can see the 2 different versions. The level 3 Nathis plays the Katarina Enraged. The level 2 Nathis plays Katarina Human's Wife and gives it +2/+2. So if they do kill it off, you can redeploy it at level 2 and make it stronger as well. It has Breakthrough, and while Nathis, Yeti's husband, has decreased health, this loses Defender and gets aggressive, can't gain Defender. So you obviously want to keep Nathis's creature out there. He's a mage scientist. So you'll probably want to find a way to pump him up or make him a defender somehow where he won't get hit too much. But yeah, so pretty straightforward card, pretty cool. Love the art, and just a really cool card overall. We have the Utera spell, Rootbound Might. Give up to 2 of your creatures +2/+2, and then give them +1/+1 for each mage you have in play. So you could potentially give, in cycle 1, 2 creatures +7/+7. That is ridiculous. So you can see it only goes up a little bit. It goes 2 creatures, 3 creatures, all your creatures. But it goes up from 7/7 max to 8/8 to 9/9 max. So, yeah, I think it could be really good. I think at worst, it's not a bad spell. Like, at its worst, it's just still 2/2, but it's for 2 creatures. So it's like a twin strength. 3 creatures give them 3/3. That's almost like a Ferocious Roar. And then all your creatures 4/4. You know, it's a weaker Ferocious Roar, but not bad. You know, the chance of you having a mage, because it's in a mage legendary drop, you're going to have probably a mage out there. So at worst, it's probably a Ferocious Roar. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be, it's just, again, not too powerful, but strong enough and good enough. We have the Necrium legendary Soulbind. We have Zyrene Spell Siphoner. It's a mage. Play Staff of Souls, so it plays an Exalt. And then the level 2 and 3, when you play a spell the first time, you play mindless zombie minion, or play 2. And then at the level 3, transform Staff of Souls to the Staff of the Damned. So Staff of Souls is the first time you play a level 1 spell each turn, play it from your banish pile. This deals 4 damage to you. So you can basically double play all of your level 1 spells once that's on the board at the cost of 4 health. First time each turn. So the order you're going to play your spells is going to matter, because you might want to get something off twice versus, just going to change things a little bit. But I think it could be, I don't see anything bad with it. 4 damage, not that much. When you're playing Necrium, you probably have some sort of life gain. You get this in a set 1 deck with some Shamblers or like a Dark Heart Sorcerer. Like, you're going to be getting that health back. So not a big deal, in my opinion. They have a lot of life gain within Necrium as well, whether it's different Forgeborns or other spells, Varric's Embrace, for example. So, yeah. His stats are low, so the minion generation not going to be huge. I don't foresee him surviving very long on the board in most cases. When you do transform the staff to the Staff of the Damned, again, it's just any spell, and then it's 4 damage to you, no different. So again, I don't see any downside to it, really. I don't think it's bad. If anything, it's going to be potentially really strong. So, yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to interact with certain spells, but I already see a lot of face damage cards getting paired with it. I'm thinking Flame Jet, Lightning Spark. You're going to double up on those and hit your opponent right in the face and drop their health quickly, 10, 15, 20 hit points. And of course, with the Flame Jet, you might be reducing your own. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out and what kind of decks people get with him. So the Necrium spell is straight up reanimate a level 1, 2, or 3 creature. So it is a little bit level gated, prevents a little bit of shenanigans with certain cards, but still very strong. You're going to use it when there's a creature you want to resurrect that fits its bill. So I just don't see a real big downside to it, even though you can't do a level 1 creature at all 3 levels. So, but yeah, still, it's gonna be a great card. It's gonna be a great card, right? Okay, and lastly, we've got our 2 Living Forgeborn released to us tonight. So we have Nova the Trickster. So you can see you can play the Trickster. I don't know if you can get on all the cycles here. So Necrim and Utera getting theirs now. Seeing Killian for Aloyan and Sunder from Tempest showing up, but Tempest was in all factions. So Nova, the Trickster is a 5/5, at least at this level 2 version here. Deploy, choose up to 1 enemy creature. The enemy player replace it with a Wisp minion. It's really nice with if you can ready him or her. The level 3 ability is play an Oakfather minion. It may battle an enemy creature. And the level 4 ability, Morphers Misdirect. Give each of your creatures +8 attack. Switch their attack and health. So you give them attack first, then swap it? That's interesting. Okay. Don't know how I feel about that. But I assume you can get at these abilities at different levels. So hopefully the combative conjurations is not like a Wisp minion at level 2. That'd be awful. But we'll see how this goes. Maybe it's a strike at cycle 4 or something. But we'll have to see how this plays out. This could be really good. So they say here, so she's going to show up as the cycle 2 Forgeborn Power every time. So Morphers Misdirect at cycle 3 is going to be give them 5 attack, switch their attack and defense. And the combative conjurations is going to be strike at cycle 4. Okay. Apparently they have another ability, though. So they have another one called Demlurge's Declic. Choose an enemy creature. The enemy player replaces it with an Oakfather minion. Deal 8 damage to the enemy player. And the level 4 ability for this one is choose an enemy creature, replace it with a Wisp minion. It deals 8 damage to the enemy player. So much better at cycle 4 than 3 because you can replace your opponent's minion or opponent's creature with a Wisp minion instead of a Oakfather. And then now we have Nixia Spellweaver. So play the Spellweaver. You can hardly read the second one. They have the text down below. It's like destroy one of your creatures to play a zombie brute minion. Give your creatures +3 attack. This turn they get aggressive. And then Spirit Bond. Give a creature -10/-10. You may give a creature +5/+5. So they're based on, they say, Infernal Ritual and Spirit Leash very clearly without their creature type restriction. Nixia's Living Forgeborn can show up at any of the 3 Forgeborn powers. So any of the levels, I guess. Spellweaver 2, as you can see here, is a 1/1. When you play a spell, play up to 1 mindless zombie minion. Deploy a random level 1 spell from your banished pile. Level 3 is 3/3. Brute minion and a random level 1 or 2. And then the level 4 is a 9/9. When you play a spell, play up to 1 zombie brute minion. Play a random level 2 spell from your banished pile. Very interesting. Could be really good. Could be really good with the legendary Soulbind too, but this looks like it's got a Soulbind, so I don't know if you can have them in the same deck or not. That might be interesting way to make sure they can't happen together, but I don't know if that's true or not. We have Infernal Rites. Level 2 is destroy one of your creatures, play 2 mindless zombie minions, give them aggro. Level 3 we already talked about. Level 4 is 2 zombie brutes, give them +5 attack, they get aggressive. Spirit Bond. -4/-4, give somebody 2/2. Level 3 is -6/-6, give somebody 3/3, so it's half of the value there. So these are the 2 new Living Forgeborn as well. So I got the article because they had all the extra text, and the picture wasn't good enough for me to show as the other ones too. So, all right, we got those. And round 2's over for the Dino Creature Chaos event. Sorry. So we have Gambit, Pharaoh, Ike's Ninjas, the Upside Down. Why did that pop up there? Traveler and Billy Bad Aim, who are all undefeated currently. They are going to need to win at least one more match, more than likely. We'll get into some of the statistics here. I haven't worked out the numbers fully yet on what they're going to have to do to make it. All of these players are 2 or 3 bonus points. None of the 5 bonus point players are undefeated. And Wood Noggin has dropped from the event, wherever he's at. He's Rick P. So he's out of the event now. I guess he either didn't play his match last round, or I don't know. He's dropped though, essentially. So you have a bunch of people at 1-1, and then we have ML Vanby, Anovis, Red Eyes, Sorum, and Mr. Huat at 0-2. 1 or 2 of these players will finish 0-4. The others could finish 1-3, potentially 2-2. So we'll see how that works out for them. But they also are already likely eliminated. 2-2 is not going to be good enough to make the final, to be qualified at the end. Everyone who's 1-1 or better, anyone who's 1-1 right now needs to win out to have a chance. Losing a match is basically you're done for. So we'll see how that shakes out. The matchups for round 3, we have the Upside Down versus Ike's Ninjas, Billy Bad Aim versus Gambit 184, Traveler versus Pharaoh, so that's your undefeateds. Then we've got Dots versus Jeff Marsh, Iron Bryce versus Bionic Soup. They always seem to get paired against each other, I swear. Every event they are in, they will face each other. They always do. It's great. Bleak versus Nullseed, Namrog versus Skullcrusher, myself versus Antofa. And then you have Ithai paired down with Anovis. And then you have Red Eyes, ML Vanby, and Mr. Huat and Sorum as all the winless players there. So we'll see how this shakes out. We can look at this sheet now. So this is all the bonus points for players. We go to the odds tab here. I've got a lot of info here. Not everything's updated. This block is not updated yet because I haven't worked out the full numbers yet to see. With Wood Noggin kind of dropping, it throws a wrench into everything. I'd have to rework this a little bit here, but I just haven't done it yet. I don't know if I will do it or not, but I started tracking everyone based on if they win or lose, what path, what player numbers they could be. So right now, you can see if they are, you can see what paths they are on, basically, that they can finish as. You can see here the final records for the players. So they can kind of see what they're expected to finish. So right now we're in this column, and basically you have your 2-0 players are up here. They are those 5 numbers essentially. If they win, they're going to be those 3 numbers. If they lose, they're going to drop down into this bracket. These players are the 1-1 players. If they win, they're going up to here. If they lose, they're going down to here. These are your winless players. If they win, they go here. If they lose, they go here. Previously, loser, one of them would have gone to the tiebreaker or the bye round, but we don't have a bye round anymore, so I'd have to adjust this a little bit. But it's not gonna make a difference down there so much. So we still have the possibility we're gonna have 2, 4, 6, 7 3-1 players. Could have 8 3-1 players, or 8 3-1 or 4-0 players. Sorry. So we're gonna have 7 or 8 people up there, and I don't know if the 11-point players can make it or not for sure. I have to look again at the standings, see what are the odds based on the matchups. My guess is they're still alive to an extent, but I don't know how much, because remember, only 4 players are going to qualify unless there's a tie. So my guess is right now people want the 5-point players to lose. If they can't get to 3-1, then the 12-point players are all going to qualify. So anyone who goes 3-1 that has 3 bonus points is going to qualify. And if there's not that many of them, then all the 11-point players would qualify, which brings the 5-point players back in. But I have to work the math out to see on the matchups and all that, and produce some predictive stuff with that. So I'll update this, and if I find that the 11-point players cannot, there's no situation where they can, I'll mark them out red. Right now, the 5-point bonus point players can go 3-1 currently. So anyone who goes 4-0 amongst the people who are currently undefeated, they will auto-qualify. Any of the 5-point players that win their last 2 matches that are 1-1 currently, they will auto-qualify, and from there, we'll see how many spots are left. So, but yeah, you can see some odd stuff. I had the AI run some probability numbers to try to get what percentage odds you are to finish at the record based on the current records. So you can see those players how they might shake out. Just some neat different stuff, trying to find something to make fun of everything that we're doing with it, right? So to me, this is fun, but it's not exact, and I don't have enough time in the week to do as much as I'd like to do to keep up with it, with new matches every week and whatnot. But okay, let's see here. JedForge Competitive Circuit. So JedForge Circuit 2 is... Oh, we get to vote. I haven't voted yet. I think Bryce is going to win, so I'm going to submit that. I do have to play Bryce, so I beat Namrog in an epic back-and-forth match, 3 matches. I have to post that up yet. That'll be coming probably next week at this rate. I think I'm on Convergence League stuff now, so I'll probably be doing this stuff next week starting. We'll see how that goes. Peter is waiting, and Brandon is waiting. So Bryce and I are going to play probably the end of this week. Probably Friday at some point. I don't know when. We'll figure that out. Winner's going to go on to play the Upside Down. And for Bryce, it's funny. He'll have to have faced me with an RC. He'll have to have faced Brandon with an RC. And then he gets to face Peter again if he wins out. But Brandon and I did play already, so I'm kind of hoping to beat Bryce and get some revenge on Brandon and then get crushed by Peter. But yeah, that's who's left right now. So I don't know if Jed posted the link publicly or not, but the JedForge Competitive Circuit number 3 is, you can sign up for it. I don't remember if he posted the link publicly or not, so I'm not going to post the link in case he didn't put it publicly. But if he did, you can find his link, sign up, and get ready. I think the next one's going to be really interesting because we'll have the mage drop available for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I imagine this will get wrapped up probably by no later than early next week. Once Bryce and I play, the winner can play Brandon probably the same day or night. And then they just have to plan with Peter over the weekend. So, yeah, that's going pretty well. And then obviously the SFCS is wrapping up its 5th season. The 27th is the finals. Messages have been sent out for that for everyone who's qualified. I've got a list. Highlighted players are qualified. I've got the better list, though, is to go by the qualified players, because there's players who may not be on the leaderboard. So the events that were not done through challenge are not in the leaderboard list because I couldn't get it to convert properly, and I was done messing with it. So, but I manually enter in who qualified from those, and so those players are there listed, and then, but they're not going to be on this page here. This page has all the challenge events, and they're all cumulative totals. You can see Sorum, of course, has done the most events by far. He was top on points, but he kind of slipped the last couple of events, so I passed him up, and we'll see if he passes me back up. We'll definitely see how that goes. But yeah, a lot of people qualified here. I think the most, what do we got? Someone with 3 matches hasn't qualified yet. So if you play in another one, you can see several events here where no one qualified, or not 3 people. Most of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 9 events have not had 3 people qualify. So there's a lot of room to qualify if you're looking to qualify. So all the Season 5 data is here. I keep it up to date. There are 2-3 more events. There's 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, and then the finals are Friday. So that is it. That is everything I can think to cover. Remember, tomorrow, Wednesday, the Wizards and Warlocks Legendary Drop is coming to us. A new Battle Pass. The next season starts, so to speak. It's kind of the kickoff for that. So I don't know. I should look here and see. Event is not here, so we can't see what event's coming, unfortunately. That was nice before. We could see what event was coming. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to buy packs like I normally do. So last time they always have a nice package with like a booster, and you get a playmat and an emote or something. I always buy that. But then am I going to buy packs with embers like I normally do? Or because they did the sealed thing in client, am I going to save it and buy tickets and just pull phantom decks and then SolBind decks as I go? So let me... So I've got 10 SolBind potions. So I could SolBind 10 decks, and I can buy more, obviously, with embers. Or 200 embers a piece. So there's a trade-off right now. You can basically use 2 tickets, get 4 phantom decks. You can basically pull a bunch of phantoms, and then doing the math, I haven't broken it down. I think I was supposed to do that for you guys at some point, but I didn't, I don't think. But basically, you do the math, and it's more advantageous if you're not looking to get a bunch of decks and you're only looking for the very best decks. It's better to just use event tickets, get phantoms, and SolBind the ones you want to keep. It'll keep your ember cost down. If you just buy decks, you're gonna keep more decks, have more decks total, but the quality is gonna be you're gonna gone through less total decks. So easiest way to say it, it's not the exact numbers. For 2,000 embers, you can get 50 decks and keep them all, or you could in turn get, we'll say 200 phantoms. And if of the 200 phantoms, even if we say there's, and it's not going to be this high, but if the deck rate that you wanted to keep was 5%, right, you would want to keep 2.5 of your 50 decks, ultimately. And with the 200, you'd want to keep 10 of them. So you could just instead keep 10 of them. That's 2,000 embers worth. Or get 50 decks and only keep 2.5. So you're getting almost 4 times as much value in that equation by doing the Phantom decks. I don't know if they're not going to release a sealed event for the set right away, or if they're going to hold off on it, or what they're going to do. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if we won't know until tomorrow when the patch drops to see if it pops up with the next sealed event. If it is going to be the new set, I have to debate. If it's not going to be, I might just buy packs because I like buying packs anyway. The golden card bounties are going to be coming back up again for the new season. We'll have to see how that's going to be done. If they're going to allow Phantoms to be part of that. They did not want to this last time, but people claimed a bunch, posted a bunch, really took advantage of that. If that happens again, you might as well not do the golden card bounty because the people are going to open the Phantoms and claim them all right off the bat. So hopefully they say you can't do Phantoms that way, and it has to be bought like this. That way it encourages people to actually spend embers on the game and help promote the game itself and make it, get some income for SBE. But we'll see. I don't really want to support this drop as much as I have the past ones. The past ones have largely been disappointing. They've been coming too fast. But this is probably going to be the best one, unfortunately. I think they're tweaking how they're building things, trying to figure out the right mix. And I think this one's going to be the best one, so I may not shrink from my normal spending. But we'll see. I haven't decided yet. But we'll definitely see. So I guess we'll find out what happens tomorrow. If I stream, then I'm probably pulling packs. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's tomorrow. We'll have more on that later this week, and we'll talk about what people got or what I got and all that good stuff. So but that's all I've got for this episode of Rallying the Forge. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're looking to play in different types of events, there's been events in client. There's been, obviously, SFCS is still going on. You can sign up for JedForge. The Creature Chaos event, obviously, you missed this month's sign up, but next one will be coming in a few weeks. It might even be posted sometime next week, potentially, in preparation for the next one. The next one's going to be Scientist, I believe, is the order. So you can start prepping for that now. I do have my tool for the Creature Chaos event to figure out through your decks which ones score the highest of your currently fused decks. Obviously, you can use the Collection Manager or Fong's site to find other Scientist-type decks to pair them with things and potentially go that route to find a good pairing. But, yeah. So that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will catch you guys around and see you later on in the game.